How's it going, everybody? So in this video, I'm going to be discussing some of the benefits that I've noticed taking Rhodiola rosea. So I've taken Rhodiola on and off throughout my career or my journey doing this health stuff since 2012, 2013. And I've noticed different forms and different extracts and different brands taken at different dosages definitely give a wide variety of different effects. Rhodiola is one of those herbs, like many, but especially with Rhodiola, that if you take the wrong dose or you take the wrong type or the wrong extract, it can have good or bad effects depending on how you take it. In large doses, Rhodiola seems to work more as a sedative, and in smaller doses, Rhodiola seems to work more as an energizing compound. For me personally, I've found about 500 milligrams of the 4% rosavin and 1% solidarides, however you pronounce that. Take about 500 milligrams in the morning, and then possibly dosing another 250 milligrams around 3 p.m., maybe 6 p.m. in the afternoon. Seems to work best for me. Most people report 500 milligrams in the morning, and then maybe a second dose around noon tends to work best for them. The biggest benefits I've noticed is definitely a reduction in anxiety and stress, especially if you drink coffee. And coffee is unique, at least in my experience, because it has unique jittery cortisol stress-like effects that isolated caffeine for some reason doesn't give me. Not sure if that's due to some other compounds in the coffee or what, but Rhodiola definitely takes the edge off of that. Similar to kind of like theanine, but in a much less powerful way. It's more of a subtle stress reduction effect where you don't feel like you're on a drug or anything. It literally just kind of like takes away the feeling of stress. So a lot of cortisol countering compounds, they don't just take away the stress feeling, they also add on a sedative drug-like feeling on top of it. So something like ashwagandha, for example, has a tendency to make people feel like they're on drugs or something, with a dose of anhedonia, which is a lack of pleasure. Rhodiola does not do that, at least in my experience, unless you take too much. What I found Rhodiola does is it just removes that stress feeling completely. And a lot of people report feeling the same effect on tiredness, like how generally when people feel tired, it's like this feeling that builds up over the course of the day and yada yada. People report feeling that Rhodiola just seems to take away that stress feeling. It doesn't boost energy like a stimulant, like give them more energy, but it just removes the feeling of tiredness, which is interesting. And a lot of people might think, oh, that's just semantics and doesn't make too much sense. What's the difference? But it is a huge difference, Being pumped up on caffeine versus just not feeling tired, completely different. So yeah, Rhodiola is pretty awesome in that way. It just removes the cortisol-like feelings without adding additional sedation, and then it just removes the tiredness feeling without adding stimulation. There's one guy on YouTube, Nootropics Reviewer, who calls it a nap in a pill, which I think is interesting. I guess that would make sense, because naps are supposed to just take away that feeling of adenosine building up, that feeling of tiredness, and not really make you stimulated. But so other benefits I've noticed, Rhodiola seems to enhance my ability to just be in the zone, to be in the moment. Rhodiola seems to definitely improve my feelings of productivity. Rhodiola definitely helps me focus. So all of these things, the addition of productivity, being in the zone, and my ability to focus has to do with being able to concentrate on something and be present in the moment and focus on one thing at a time without all of these extra things in the background kind of coming crashing down on me at once. Like for a long time, like, a lot of the time, depending on what I'm taking, like caffeine or whatever, just in general, if I made a video, sometimes I'd have all these thoughts come into my mind in the middle, and it would be a scatterbrain mess, which I think it still is a bit of a scatterbrain mess, just because my brain is so fast, and I have like a dynamic tree of thought is the way my brain works. There's two different types of thinking. I'll have to make another video talking about that. Rhodiola helps me kind of concentrate on one branch of thought at a time versus allowing my brain to branch out on all these different thoughts like it usually will. Which is just, I believe, kind of like a structural difference in different people's brains. Different people just have either a one-track mind or like a gigantic tree full of branches that they're always going down at once. Which, if you don't know how to harness, can be terrible. Rhodiola helps you kind of like, at the very least, while that whole tree of thoughts might still be there, the scatterbrain tendencies might still be there, you're able to direct your stream of consciousness down one branch at a time. So, reading a book, for example, is a lot easier when you're taking Rhodiola, because, a lot of people, they'll be trying to read a book, and granted, if you haven't practiced the skill of reading a book, it doesn't matter what you're taking, you're not going to be able to do it. People are like, oh, I'm ADHD because I can't read a book. It's like, no, you just haven't read a lot of books lately, and therefore you got to grease that groove, and it'll feel easier the more you practice reading the book. You haven't practiced reading, so of course your brain's going to be finding it hard, especially binging on social media, scrolling, and recommended videos on YouTube and pornography and all these things, because that just completely ruins your ability to focus on one thing at a time. It trains your brain to be multitasking. So anyway, yeah, Rhodiola definitely improves my ability to focus on one thing at a time and be in the moment. And the effects kind of build up over time. So and one more thing before I get into that. It is a multi-track brain. We got all these different things, lots of mental RAM, lots of it. Lots of improvement in exercise performance. So I've talked before about cordyceps, and how cordyceps can boost your anaerobic exercise performance by increasing the recycling of ATP and the recycling of the glycolytic pathway, to where you're able to sustain lactic acid capacity exercises. Basically think high intensity interval training where you're going 60 seconds on hardcore, and then 60 seconds off, back and forth. That 60 seconds of high intensity exercise is very glycolytic and anaerobic building, to where you just feel like insane during that, like, oh shit, it's so tiring and exhausting. Well, Rhodiola, I believe, from what I've experienced at least, seems to improve the aerobic endurance. So, it improves my tolerance to aerobic activity. So I haven't really looked a lot at the scientific literature surrounding this, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is similar to what it talks about. I found a noticeable improvement in my ability to tolerate long duration exercise. So even in jiu-jitsu, which is highly anaerobic and highly glycolytic, depending on how you do jiu-jitsu, some people just stay in the same position and try to hold the position and hold people down for hours at a time, which would be, I don't know, still anaerobic, but not as anaerobic as if you were scrambling, wrestling constantly. But I noticed in jiu-jitsu, I'm able to just kind of my ability to last a long time without running out of energy in the background has improved. So it's going to be kind of challenging to explain this to someone who doesn't have a background in exercise science. But jiu-jitsu, when you train jiu-jitsu, typically it's 60 minutes of 5-minute rounds where you're just wrestling with other people constantly. And in my school, we might have 45 to 60 seconds rest in between 5-minute rounds. And your aerobic system is always providing energy in the background. It's allowing you to, you might be tired cardiovascularly, but mentally you still feel fresh. It's that feeling of freshness in the background, I would say. And the aerobic system is helping your body refuel energy in the background over the long term. So you might burn up all your anaerobic energy in 3 minutes, but how good your aerobic system is dictates how fast that anaerobic system will recover in between those 3-minute hardcore anaerobic bursts. So you might spend all your anaerobic energy in 3 minutes, and then during the rest period and, over the long term, you might keep needing to go and go and go. You can't go any longer, but your anaerobic system will refuel over the course of the hour that you're doing jiu-jitsu in the background. You don't even necessarily need complete rest in order for it to be refilled. So it's that long-term energy system that's not only providing a feeling of freshness in the background and energy in the background at a low level, but it's also helping to refuel that high-level, high-octane glycolytic system in the background over time, if that makes sense. So anyway, Rhodiola definitely improves my ability to tolerate those longer training sessions without feeling ran down. Whereas traditionally, after the first 15, 20, usually 20 to 25 minutes of rolling, most people would feel completely burnt out because their aerobic system is shot. And their anaerobic system is done. Most people have just, at least people that aren't competing at a high level and doing strength and conditioning in the background, they're just going to be completely messed up in the first 20, 25 minutes. And Rhodiola helps to double that generally. So anyway, so let's see. So Rhodiola, if you take it 500 milligrams in the morning, 250 milligrams in the afternoon. So I felt it immediately without even taking it for a while, without needing it to build up. The first dose, I felt an increase in calmness and the ability to be in the zone when I first took it. And so that stress reduction, anxiety reducing effect was there, and the focus was there. Probably about, I would say, 2 hours after taking it, but I think it's more like 1 hour after taking it. But I suspect I might have a fast metabolism of herbs and compounds and things and be highly sensitive to them. And I've noticed my sleep improve after taking it. And over time, kind of like the effects become more physical in nature, if that makes sense. Where at first you just feel the calmness and focus benefits. Over time, I notice my body seems to be recovering faster, I guess, obviously because I'm doing exercise while taking the herb. My ability to recover gets better, and I believe it seems like my adaptations to life becomes better over time, not because it takes time for the herb to build up, but because I'm taking the herb while dealing with life stresses. The herb changes the way your body adapts to stress, which basically you could think of it, at least this is a suspicion, it seems to improve the adaptations your body makes to stress. And this is key. Pharmaceutical drugs are supposed to be taken to, and some of them kind of act in a similar way. I'll make another video actually kind of discussing this because it's actually pretty profound. It's something I kind of just realized right now while talking about this. But over time, the effects definitely build up. So, improving focus, improving concentration, improving ability to be in the zone, reducing stress, reducing anxiety, improving sleep over time, although some people, they report worsening of sleep. I don't experience that at all. Better mood, better energy, amazing improvements of exercise performance. And over time, it helps your body adapt and create better adaptations to stress, which makes you stronger, it makes you feel better, and completely changes you as a human being. So leave your question, comments down below. Let me know what brands have you taken. Right now, I'm taking the NutriCost bulk powder. I'm also taking bulk supplements Celidiceride pure extract with no rosavins. It's the Rhodiola canulata. It's a different type of rhodiola. It's not Rosea. I'll take that before bed, and I'll take Rhodiola rosea in the morning and in the evening again. But I just started taking that one, so I'll make another video talking about what I've noticed when I started taking the Rhodiola canulata extract. Talk about that a little bit later. Let me know what you think. Nature's Way is a good brand, and Now Foods as well. I didn't really have a good experience with Life Extension. Let me know which brands you've taken, which extracts, and what your experience was, and I'll talk to y'all next time.